In the realm of environmental degradation, few issues are as pressing as the devastating impact of animal agriculture on our planet's ecosystems. In Southeast Asia, a region that is already home to some of the most biodiverse regions on Earth, this crisis is unfolding with alarming speed and scope. The statistics paint a stark picture. Animal agriculture in Southeast Asia accounts for over 30% of global greenhouse gas emissions from agricultural sources, rivaling the combined emissions of all transportation. To put this into perspective, if we were to calculate the carbon footprint of every cow, pig, and chicken raised in the region, it would be equivalent to an additional 2 billion cars on the road, a staggering 10 times more than the current number of vehicles worldwide. The scale of deforestation is equally disturbing. Southeast Asia's forests, which cover over 250 million hectares, are being cleared at a rate of 5.7 million hectares per year. This not only destroys habitats for countless species, but also strips away the region's ability to absorb carbon dioxide and mitigate climate change. The deforestation in Indonesia alone has led to an estimated 40% loss of primary forests since the 1990s, an area roughly the size of Italy. The impact on local communities is often overlooked, but it is no less severe. In recent years, many rural villages have seen their livelihoods upended as forests are cleared for cattle grazing and feed crops. The displacement of indigenous peoples has led to social unrest, conflict, and human rights abuses that threaten the very fabric of these communities. But perhaps most striking is the trend towards industrial-scale farming in Southeast Asia. In just 3 decades, global meat production has grown from 2 million tons in 1950 to over 400 million tons by 2020, a staggering increase of 20 times. This shift towards intensive agriculture has led to the widespread use of pesticides, fertilizers, and irrigation systems that pollute waterways, soil, and air. The economic costs of this crisis are also significant, with animal agriculture in Southeast Asia generating over $1.30 trillion annually, a sum rivaling the GDP of some entire nation. Yet, despite these staggering numbers, many countries remain resistant to reform, driven by competing demands for food security and economic growth. But there is hope for change. In recent years, some progressive governments and companies have begun to adopt more sustainable practices in animal agriculture, such as agroforestry systems that integrate trees into agricultural landscapes or rotational grazing methods that mimic natural ecosystems. In Indonesia, the government has implemented a new policy framework that aims to reorient agriculture towards sustainability. In Thailand, companies like Anheuser-Busch are committing to source beef from farms that prioritize animal welfare and environmental stewardship. These solutions won't come cheap or easy, but they represent a critical step towards mitigating the devastating impacts of animal agriculture in Southeast Asia. As we weigh the competing demands on our food systems, we must also acknowledge the imperative for radical transformation, one that prioritizes both human well-being and ecological health above all else. The question is no longer whether animal agriculture will be a source of environmental degradation or not, but what form it will take. Will we choose the path of industrial-scale farming, or one that seeks to balance our appetite for meat with our duty to protect the planet? The future of food security hangs in the balance, and the choices we make today will shape a world worth living in. As we conclude our journey through the uncharted territories of Southeast Asia's hidden ecological crisis, it becomes glaringly clear that our collective future hangs precariously in the balance. The numbers are stark. The region's animal agriculture sector is a ticking time bomb, spewing forth methane and nitrous oxide at an alarming rate, while rampant deforestation ravages the very heart of this delicate ecosystem. We're on the cusp of a seismic shift. Will we choose to succumb to the suffocating grip of corporate interests or seize control of our collective destiny? The time for inaction is long past. It's time to take a stand and demand systemic change. I urge you, the next great leap forward begins with your voice. Join us in calling for a sustainable food system that prioritizes people and the planet over profit.